is heating up. The Octagon action is rolling on, and thank you so much for joining us for this July edition of Rankings Report. Forrest, please kindly remind everyone how the rankings are decided.
First off, let me remind you that the Rankings Report is an actual show where we discuss what the rankings mean. We haven't been around in a while. I went on vacation, so these rankings I speak of, each week a panel of well-respected journalists rank the fighters by weight class and, of course, pound for pound.
Yeah, and today we are looking at the rankings that were released on July 25th. The Octagon returned to Germany this past weekend, and in the main event, we saw Anthony Smith step in on late notice to take on former champion Shogun Rua. It took almost no time for Lionheart to get the biggest win of his career when he knocked out Shogun at 3 minutes and 35 seconds. In round number 1, Anthony debuts at light heavyweight rankings at number 9. Shogun is down in the rankings to number 11, Forrest. Stepping in on late notice against a legend like Shogun. What does this mean for Anthony?
So Anthony Smith has actually, I don't want to say it, but he's gotten very lucky in the draw. Rashad and Shogun, two of my contemporaries, I've been retired for 5 years. So these guys were both former UFC champions with big names. Gave Anthony Smith a huge platform, kind of jumping off. Then he went on to call out Gustafsson, saying he's ready to fight.
So that was this past weekend in Germany, and a couple of weeks ago we had International Fight Week. That was full of fun, fan activities, and super big fights. There was no bigger fight than the super fight between UFC light heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier and UFC heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic. It took just one round for DC to get it done and make history by becoming the second fighter to ever simultaneously hold 2 belts. The first was, of course, Conor McGregor. And that had a huge impact on the ranking. So DC, he's the new heavyweight champ. Stipe's down number 1 in heavyweight. DC's up 3 spots to number 1 on the pound-for-pound list.
As he should be.
What does DC do from here? We saw Brock Lesnar enter the Octagon.
Hopefully he gets that big money fight, as he calls it, referencing the Brinks trucks. Those are the trucks that carry the money around with the armed guards, and they're going to drop all that money off, and DC is going to get to fight, what's his name?
Brock Lesnar. If you're Daniel Cormier, do you go back down to light heavyweight at all? I know he said he would like to defend both belts.
He was like 246, 248. Come on, man. He ain't going back down. Also, I spoke with Luke Rockhold. Luke Rockhold says, look, he doesn't have the same power at 205 as he has like when he's over 230. Over 230, he can really hit. He told me this before that knockout, and then when I saw that, I said, yeah, might be onto something there.
Let's discuss a big lightweight fight that saw former champion crack the top 10 once again. Anthony Pettis submitted Michael Chiesa at UFC 226, which had Pettis move up 4 spots to number 8, Chiesa down 3 spots to number 12 at lightweight. Chiesa made some comments at that morning weigh-in saying, this might be my last fight at 155.
Yeah. Well,
do you think he goes to 170?
I mean, of course you feel like that after you miss the weight.
Right.
I think him and the Kevin Lees of the world are begging for the 165-pound weight class. I don't have anything against it. I don't know what you do with all the fighters that are currently at 170, but, you know, we'll see what's next for him. But on to Pettis, the good news, he looked good. He actually got, taken down and beat up a little bit in that first round, and he looked completely composed. He looked like the old Anthony Pettis. He wasn't bothered by it. He never looked hurt or worried. He wasn't even breathing heavy in his corner. He went back out. He took care of business. Like, he knew he had time. He knew he could come back.
Looking forward to the future. UFC on Fox 30 takes place on the boss Dana White's birthday, and he built this card as a birthday present to himself, and he did good because 3 former champions in the top 3 fights are all making for incredible matchups and really exciting possibilities for the rankings. So let's start with the main event because we've got Eddie Alvarez, who's ranked number 3, against Dustin Poirier, who's ranked number 4. This is a rematch. The first fight was called a no contest due to illegal knees by Alvarez, and man, this one should be good.
The first fight was a good fight. Had the chance to be a great fight had it gone a little longer. They both had each other in trouble, and they both do not like each other. They both got a little chippy, as it were.
Yeah.
After, kind of blaming, playing games, saying, you quit on me. I said, no, you hit me. So they're definitely, it's going to be one of those fights where those guys actually fight.
Yes, and there's a lot on the line here because there could be some title implications. Should the winner get the next shot at Khabib or Conor or whoever comes back and ends up...
For whoever the champ at that time, one of those guys will get the shot at it.
Yeah. And then in the co-main event, we've got the most dominant featherweight champion in history, former champ Jose Aldo, who's ranked number 2, versus a red-hot Jeremy Stephens, who's ranked number 4. This is a matchup people have been talking about for a long time. We finally get to see it through. What are your expectations for this?
So this is a case of two guys, and Aldo and Stevens, that aren't consistent, right? So we see great performances, and then we see subpar performances out of both of them. So, you know, you really don't know what to expect or which one is gonna show up. Maybe Aldo just can't beat the bigger, longer, stronger Max Holloway. Maybe, you know, that's his kryptonite. This should be a great fight, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go from one former champion to another in Joanna Jędrzejczyk. She's ranked number 1 in the strawweight division, taking on the tiny tornado, Tecia Torres, who's ranked number 5. They are both staples in the strawweight division. We obviously know Joanna as the most dominant champion the strawweight division had ever seen. Now she's motivated to get back to that belt.
She's motivated, but she's coming off another loss. She got knocked out in her second to last fight. Is she gonna have that same swagger and confidence? One of the things she always had was that incredible mental game. With that said, she's still gonna be longer and maybe the quicker striker. Torres, the better grappler, but nobody's really been able to take Joanna Jędrzejczyk down, so.
And from one rematch in that main event on Fox to another, we're gonna have a couple more UFC 227, actually. Both title fights are sequels. In the main event, there is no love lost between TJ Dillashaw and Cody Garbrandt. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Former teammates who met in the octagon this past November. Dillashaw became champ once again when he knocked out Garbrandt in the second round at MSG.
You can really hate a person when you know them. Like when you've spent some time around a person, that's what helps you really hate a person. It's hard to hate a person you've never met from afar. But these guys know each other. They've beat each other up in the gym before. They hate each other.
Yeah, they certainly do. What do they need to do differently this time around on both ends? Even though TJ Dillashaw ended up victorious, he did have that very close call at the end of the first round.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing I see is that Cody, man, you know, he's like an all-star game. Very little defense, all offense. He's got to land that first big punch quickly and get TJ on the back foot, to say. You know, he's got to come in, pressure, and make TJ uncomfortable. I think TJ, if he can just stay comfortable, move, he's got really good movement, strikes, kicks, punches. Again, it's a tough callback for Cody, but a great fight.
Yeah, well, let's move on to our co-main event. It is another rematch as well. An Olympic gold medalist gets another crack at the most dominant champ in UFC history when Henry Cejudo gets another shot at Demetrius Johnson. Johnson finished Cejudo with a vicious knee to the body in their first meeting.
Let me make this one interesting for you. Henry has completely changed his game. He's looked great striking, but he always has Olympic level gold medal wrestling to fall back on. He's completely changed his game. He's looked great. In that time, DJ has had a surgery and been on the shelf. I don't think he's fought anybody in a while.
Since Ray Borg.
Yeah, so that's a while. And, you know, so we don't really know what DJ's coming in. I mean, you could say there's no such thing as ring rust, but he's going to have a little ring rust because it's a thing.
All right, well, now it's time for our favorite part of the show, which is Unranked. This episode, we found inspiration in Sage Northcutt's big win. So in his polite honor, we've decided to give our nicest guys and gals in the game rankings. So, all right, Forrest, you start us off.
Well, I mean, it's the Sage Award, so the namesake. We got to start with Sage. It's kind of the namesake.
So polite.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Does apologize after he knocks people out.
And is just the nicest guy ever.
Now, I'm going to go with Stipe Miocic because he's a close personal friend of mine. I have his cell phone number and everything. But you said he's quite the jerk.
I did not say that.
You hate Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, no, I hate him.
Stipe is a great guy. He's like a more athletic, jovial version of myself. Like if I could possibly be goofier and funner, I'd be Stipe Miocic.
Okay.
And way more athletic.
Okay, we got to give some love to the ladies. I'm going with Karolina Kowalkiewicz.
I give no love to the ladies. It's part of the key to happiness right there. I do like her thing where she just sits against the fence and kind of like winks and stuff.
Yes!
That's precious.
Yes!
Precious.
It really is. Then she just goes and kills. Damian Maia.
Yeah, it's a good call.
You will be hard-pressed, I'm telling you this right now. You'll be hard-pressed in any form of athletics to find a nicer, more humble human being.
That's how much I like Damian Maia. I'd loan him money. So if you start a Ponzi scheme, I'm in. DC, Daniel Cormier, again, I love him. But with the caveat that DC, unless he's got a fight on the books with John Jones, then he's not that nice.
No.
He'll throw a shoe at you, in fact.
Right.
He'll throw like a $200 shoe at you. which means it was 400 for the pair. So I wish I'd have been there. I'd have caught that shoe, taken that down to the pawn shop.
eBay.
Like, what can I get for one shoe?
Well, as always, we like to end the show.
A shoey for the one shoe. Tie to your Vasila. Yeah. Hey, the show's over, guys. I don't even know why you're still here. Seriously, stop. It's over.
Thanks for if you.
Show ended. No show.
I don't even know what just happened.